securing your thread to the hook and then wrap your thread back to the bend of the hook. Snip off the excess thread. The tail of this purple haze is going to be made out of stacked moose body. The length of the tail is roughly the length of the shank of the hook. Tie in roughly 7 to 10 fibers at the bend of the hook. Wrap your thread forward, securing down the rest of the fibers about 2/3 the length of the shank. This is going to help keep our body consistent. And once you've reached 2/3 the length of the shank, snip off the excess thread. Now take your thread and build up the body, creating a nice taper for your purple haze. This is all going to be done with the thread. Once you've built up a nice taper, bring your thread to 2/3 the length of the shank and secure in some white parapost material. To ensure that the parapost material will be secured to the top of the shank of the hook, double over the material around the thread and then bring it to the top of the shank of the hook. Now with your thread, wrap around the shank of the hook as you normally would, with holding the parapost material on top of the shank will help secure it right on top of the shank of the hook, exactly where we want it. A few security wraps in front and behind the post will ensure that it'll stay in place. And with a few more wraps, build up the taper and the body around the parachute. And now it's time to make the post for the parachute. The way we're going to do this is you're going to hold the parachute with your dominant hand, and with your non-dominant hand, take your thread, wrapping it around the material, creating a nice post. You're going to start at the bottom of the parapost material, working your way up, creating a nice stiff post. And once you're finished with the post, wrap your thread around the shank of the hook that's in between the eye and the post, finishing up the taper for the body. And now it's time to make the legs. The legs are going to be made out of 2 different colors of saddle hackle, both grizzly and brown. Secure those in front of the post and then secure it to the post itself. When we secure the feathers to the post itself, we're going to use the same strategy, meaning we're going to hold the feathers with our dominant hand, and with our non-dominant hand we're going to wrap the thread around the post itself, securing the feathers to the post. Once everything is secure, and if you still have a little bit more body to build up, now is the time. And once you've got your body built up exactly like you want it, start by taking the hackle and wrapping it around the post. The first wrap with your hackle should be as close to the shank as possible, and then wrap it underneath that original wrap about 3 or 4 times, and then secure it down to the post. Once it's nice and secure, bring your thread to the eye of the hook and whip finish. Once your thread is secure, snip off the excess thread. Now snip off the excess saddle hackle. And if there are also a few saddle hackle fibers that got caught while you were securing the feathers to the post, snip those off as well. Just makes for a better looking fly. And next we're going to trim the post. The post should roughly be as long as the length of the shank. And once you've made your cut, trim off just the corners of the post, making for a nicer looking post. When all is said and done, and if you see a few more of those fibers that are straggling, just snip them off, and you have yourself a purple haze.